Hello students, welcome to today's lecture series on AMP 202, Farm Animal Anatomy and Physiology, Study Section 2. The title of today's topic is Anatomy and Physiology of the Cell. Introduction. The cell is the smallest unit of life. All organisms are composed of structural and functional units of life called cells. All cells, whether they are multicellular or unicellular or just a tiny part of a multicellular organism, have certain characteristics in common. In this study section, you will be introduced to the cell as the basic structural and functional unit of all organisms, component of the cells, chemical composition of the cells, and cells division. Learning outcome for study section 2. On completion of this study section, you should be able to justify that cell is the basic structural and functional unit of all organisms and state cells theory. 2. You should be able to list and explain the component of cell. 3. Discuss the chemical composition of the cell and understand the cell division. Cell and cell theory. Landmark in cell study. Anton van Leeuwenhoek invented the microscope, after which Robert Hooke in 1665 observed a piece of cork under the microscope and found it to be made of small compartments, which he called cells. The cell means small room in Latin. In 1672, Leeuwenhoek observed bacteria, sperm, and red blood corpuscles, all of which were cells. In 1831, Robert Brown, an Englishman, observed that all cells are the centrally positioned body, which he termed the nucleus. All these are landmarks of cells and cell development. The cell. A cell may be defined as a unit of protoplasm bounded by a plasma or cell membrane and possesses a nucleus. Protoplasm is the life-giving substance and includes the cytoplasm and the nucleus. The cytoplasm has in it organelles such as ribosomes, mitochondria, Golgi body, plastids, lysosome, and endoplasmic reticulum. The plant cell have in their cytoplasm large vacuoles containing non-living inclusion like crystals, pigments, and so on. The bacteria have neither organelles nor a well-formed nucleus, but every cell has three major components, namely the plasma membrane, cytoplasm, and the DNA. Cell theory. In 1838, M.J. Schleiden and Theodore Schwann formulated the cell theory, and the cell theory maintains that all organisms are composed of cells. Cells is the structural and functional unit of life, and the cells arise from pre-existing cells. The cells are considerably in shape and size. The cells varies considerably in shapes and size. Nerve cells of animals have long extensions. They can be several feet in length. Muscle cells are elongated in shape. Eggs of the ostrich is the largest cell, 75 mm in size. Some plant cells may have thick walls. There are also wide variation in the numbers of cells in the different organisms. Prokaryotes and eukaryotes. The slides displays the images of prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. Cytologists recognize two basic types of cells as eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells. Organisms which do not possess a well-formed nucleus are refers to as prokaryotes, such as bacteria, and all other organisms that possess a well-defined nucleus covered by a nucleus membrane are called the eukaryotes. Components of the cell. The major components of the cells are cell membrane, cytoplasm, and nucleus. Cell membrane, which has a limiting boundary, the cell membrane, plasma membrane, and plasma or plasma lemma Component of the cell. The major component of the cells are cell membrane, cytoplasm, and nucleus. Talking about the cell membrane, each cell has a limiting boundary. The cell membrane, plasma membrane, or plasma lemma. It is a living membrane outermost in the animal cell but next to cell wall in the plant cells. We also have cytoplasm. The cytoplasm consists of all the contents outside of the nucleus and enclosed within the cell membrane of the cell. What are the functions of the cytoplasm? Cytoplasm function as a support and suspend organelles and cellular molecules. Many cellular processes also occurs in the cytoplasm. In addition, the cytoplasm helps to move materials such as hormone around the cell and also dissolve cellular waste. Then we look at the component of a cytoplasm. In a prokaryotic cell that do not have a membrane-bound nucleus, the cytoplasm consists of all the contents of the cell, which the plasma membrane, inside the plasma membrane. Then in eukaryotic cell, such as plant and animal cell, the cytoplasm consists of three main components, which are cytosol, organelles, and various particles and granulae called cytoplasmic inclusion. Then we talk about nucleus. Nucleus is the largest organelle seen clearly when the cell is not divided. The nucleus thinns deeply, is mostly spherical. White blood cells have lobe nuclei. It is mostly one in each cell. Some cells have many nucleus. Chemical composition of the cell. The approximate composition of protoplasm by constituent is water, which is 85%. We have protein, which is 10%, lipid 2%, inorganic matters, which is 1.5%, and other substances including carbohydrates, which have 1.5%. Chemical composition of various parts of the cell play an important role in the cellular function. Proteins. A polypeptide is a chain of more than 50 amino acids connected by peptide linkages, and a chain that contains more than 100 amino acids is called a protein. A protein are the next largest constituent of the protoplasm after water. Protein are complex, high molecular weight colloidal molecules, consist primarily of amino acids that are polymerized into peptide chains. Next constituent of a protoplasm is the lipid. Lipid consists primarily of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, but some also contain minor amount of phosphorus, nitrogen, and sulfur. Most lipids are non-polar, composed of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Even though the amount of oxygen is less, lipids are synthesized from fatty acid and glycerol. Simple lipids are called glycerides. Fats can be saturated or unsaturated. Fats are solid at room temperature. Those that remain liquid at room temperature are called oils. Then we also have carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are composed of carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen. Simple sugars or monosaccharides are carbohydrates containing 3 to 7 carbon atoms. Glucose, which consists of 6 carbon atoms, is the most prevalent simple sugars in the body. Cell division. A single cell divides many times and forms a multi-celled organism. Unicellular bacteria and protozoa divide in and increase in numbers. Injured tissues are replaced by the new cell through cell division. Thus, cell division is one of the most important activities in all organisms. Majority of the cells in a multicellular organism grow and they can divide, but cells like the nerves and muscle cells of animal are guard cells, and guard cells of the plant do not divide. The process of cell division is also the same in all organisms. A cell passes through phases of growth, after which are able to duplicate their chromosomes but before they divide. These phases in the life of cell constitute the cell cycle. Then the next thing we talked about is the cell cycle. Mother or parent cells of the cells can be used for cells that undergoes division, and the daughter cells for the ones that are the result of this division. The phases of cell cycle are inter and mitosis phases. Before each daughter cell undergoes division, it must grow to the same size as its mother cell. We can distinguish two main phases in life of a cell. We have the interphase. The interval between the two successive cell divisions is termed interphase. And it is the longest period in the cell's division. Then we also have the dividing phase, also known as the mitosis phase, which occurs so that during this period the chromatid separates and form daughter chromosomes. Kinds of cell division. As we have rightly said before, there are two kinds of cell division. We have the mitosis, which is a cell division for the growth and replacement, whereas the two daughter cells are identical and similar to mother cell in all respects. Then we also have the meiosis, which occurs in the gonads of the sexual reproduction to produce gametes. Thank you for listening. We've come to the end of today's class.